Welcome to Summer Reading Program Week 8. This week is Art Week. My name is Naomi. I am the Children's Specialist at the Galena Park branch.
And I'm Tanner, the Adult Programming Librarian at Parker Williams.
Please remember to log books and activities to collect your prizes. We are also still offering our curbside services. You can find the curbside form at hcpl.net.
And be sure to join us Tuesday, July 21st, where children's author Keith Graves will be doing a live illustration event. And Wednesday, July 22nd, we'll be doing a watercolor program.
This week's reading challenge is graphic novels. These are my children's recommendations. The first book is actually a series. It's called Wings of Fire. This is an adaptation of the juvenile fiction books written by author Twee Sutherland. The graphic novel adaptation has been created by Barry Dutch, and the art is by Mike Holmes. This series follows a group of young dragons who have been chosen to fulfill a prophecy to overthrow the evil Scarlet from her throne. The next book is Dragons Beware. Dragons Beware is written by George Aguirre and art by Rafael Rosado. The story follows Claudette on the journey to save her father's magical sword from the belly of Azra the dragon. She is joined by her brother Gaston and her best friend Marie. The last book is The Tea Dragon Society. The book is written and illustrated by Katie O'Neill. We are introduced to magical dragons who grow tea leaves on the top of their heads. The teas, when brewed, share magical memories that the dragons have shared with their owners. And now, Tanner will share adult graphic novels.
The first one that I want to share is one of my personal favorites, Kingdom Come, written by Mark Waid and lavishly illustrated by Alex Ross. This is set in an alternate version of the DC comic book universe, where the old guard, the older superheroes such as Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, are forced to confront a more violent and radical young generation of superheroes, which ends in an epic battle that will determine the very fate of the DC universe. If you are looking for a mature take on classic comic book superheroes, then Kingdom Come is for you. The second recommendation I have is The Sandman by Neil Gaiman, illustrated by Sam Keith, Mike Dringenberg, and Malcolm Jones III. This is a fantasy that follows the character Dream. Dream is one of the Endless, a family of old gods who represent primal aspects of humanity. At the beginning of the story, Dream has been imprisoned for 7 years, and now he must fight to get his kingdom and his power back. If you like strange fantasy and mythology, then The Sandman is definitely for you. And my last recommendation today is American Vampire, written by Scott Snyder, illustrated by Raphael Albuquerque, with guest writer Stephen King. This is a story that is set in a world where vampires have always existed, and it concerns two characters whose lives intertwine throughout history. The first, Skinner Sweet, a bank robber in the late 1800s who's turned into a vampire on the way to his own execution and becomes the first American vampire, who gets more power in the sun. The second, Pearl, an aspiring actress in the 20s who seeks bloody revenge when she is turned into a vampire herself. I would recommend this for anyone who likes a good historical fiction tale and genuinely creepy vampires.
Today we talked about authors who told you stories through illustration and graphics. And you can tell a story too. Stay tuned for a tutorial on how to make a tote bag with t-shirts.
Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm Miss Wendy with the Harris County Public Library. Today we're going to show you how to create a no-sew t-shirt tote bag. Kind of like this one. But you'll be using your own t-shirt. T-shirts are such popular souvenirs, and it's easy to end up with more than you can wear. When you have t-shirts that hold special memories, this is a great way to put them to use and remember those experiences. So much better than letting them sit in a box in the closet. Now, if you're not crafty or you don't know how to sew, please don't worry, because this is a very simple craft. And we're fortunate today to have several Harris County Public Library staff here with us to share their own special memories and show us how to make our one-of-a-kind tote bags.
Hi, I'm Sarah from the Aldine Branch Library. I'm the Adult Program Librarian.
Hi, I'm Miss Kathy from the Lone Star College Tomball Community Library, and I'm a Children's Programming Specialist.
And I'm Mr. John from the Parker Williams Library, also a children's librarian.
Before we get started, gather your supplies. You're going to need a t-shirt, some scissors, and a washable marker or a fabric pencil.
The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to need to cut the sleeves off of your t-shirt. So you're going to use scissors to cut the sleeve off, the first sleeve, and then you're going to fold your shirt in half vertically and use that cutout sleeve as a guide for the other sleeve.
Next is the neckline. So you want to cut out your neckline here so that you have a nice wide space for your books. If you want, you can turn it inside out and use a round object to trace so that you have a nice even neckline.
The wonderful thing about old t-shirts is the memories. Fred Rogers once said, "Real strength has to do with helping others." When I was 16, Hurricane Katrina hit the Mississippi and Louisiana Gulf Coast and caused a lot of devastation and loss. During that time, volunteers from all over the country came to help us try to rebuild our communities. When I was 19, I traveled to Cedar Rapids, Iowa to join an AmeriCorps crew. We helped the community there to recover from a devastating flood that had damaged a lot of property. We cleared the wreckage so that the community could rebuild. My memories of these times remind me of a Mr. Rogers quote. When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, "Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping." When I see my shirt, it reminds me to always look for the helpers and to be one. Sarah, thank you for sharing that powerful story. The next step is to decide how deep you want your tote bag to be. Once you've decided how deep you want it to be, you're going to want to draw a straight line across the bottom of the bag so that you can start to cut the fringe that will close the bag. Keep in mind that the bag is likely to stretch and get longer once you start putting things in it.
Next, you're going to take your scissors, and once you have the line drawn, you're going to cut strips or strands from the bottom of the shirt up to the line. You know, our shirts have a lot of memories attached to them, and mine doesn't have just one, but it has a lifetime of memories. Like visiting my dad on campus at his office and getting ice cream at the campus creamery, tailgate parties, and football games. I think of my own college journey and watching my kids graduate from Texas A&M. I think of those years when we as parents watched them blossom and learn how to navigate the world on their own. It reminds me of watching them walk the stage at graduation and the immense pride and bittersweet parent emotions. I think of a place where a piece of me always stays. My parents still call the Brazos Valley home, and I think of how I want to spend more time with them and reconnect with the little piece of my heart that always lives in Aggieland.
These are looking great, and we're almost to our final step. Kathy, thank you for sharing those memories
You're
with us.
welcome.
All right, for the final step of the bag, we're going to want to take the strands that we've cut and tie them together in order to close the bag up. It sounds a little complicated, but watch what we do with our samples.
Each strand is going to work with the neighbor next to it to come together and make this a complete product.
To close these holes, tie each knotted pair to its neighbor. Take a strand from the first pair and tie it to a strand in the next pair. Take the remaining strand and tie it to the next pair, and so on.
You're going to continue until all the strands are tied. Once all the strands are tied, you're done.
Now that you have your new tote, it looks like you're ready for an adventure. And one of my favorite adventures is hiking. I have been to over 10 national parks as well as countless amount of state parks. I've been to each and every one of our coasts, as well as seeing a wide variety of the different creatures throughout the United States. I've seen a lot of beautiful scenery. And one of my favorite adventures has been out to Big Sur on the Pacific coast. I can still see and hear the crashing waves, as well as smell the salt in the air. And there were a lot of beautiful quiet moments. Now, Mr. Rogers posed the question, how many times have you noticed that it's the little quiet moments in the midst of life that seem to give the rest extra special meaning? And that trip was extra special for me and my wife.
Thank you, John, for sharing that about your adventures. These bags will be great for some new adventures. We know they're full of memories. Now let's talk about filling them with books. How many books can we get into one of these new tote bags? Let's check and see. If you haven't already registered for the Harris County Public Library Summer Reading Program, it's not too late to do so at www.hcpl.beanstack.org. We have a great selection of prizes that'll be available through August 1st. You can pull up for curbside service and use your brand new tote bag to claim your prize. Look at these wonderful bags. How many books did you get in there?
Well, I think I got 6 for now, but I think with my prize that'll make 7.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing your new tote bag and hearing your special stories. Imagine your story this summer.